Hello and welcome to our What Happened When I Tried It playlist. I'm Bill Ronco. In this playlist, people tell brief stories about what happened when they tried to use new skills and new ideas in the real world of their projects and organizations. In this particular video, Andy Witkin, President and CEO of Witkin Hults Partners, landscape architects in Hollywood, Florida, tells his story about using smarter everyday negotiation skills in a high-stakes conversation with a very unhappy client. Let's take a look.
Yeah, this one is a classic of how to listen to what should be done. Long story short, we are doing a single-family home, and we rarely ever do single-family homes. The contractor on the site is a dear friend, and he said, "Andy, please get involved. This is not an easy client." So I said, "We're happy to do it." So the house is, it's really a beautiful house. And the client, to put it mildly, is very difficult, very demanding, which is why we don't do single family homes, but extremely demanding. And we have bent over backwards. Our project manager has spent more time in this home than probably on a 400 unit development. And she has really bent over backwards for the last 2.5 years to make sure that they've been serviced more than properly. They've gone above and beyond. So a meeting was scheduled on site, and our project manager had a personal medical situation and needed to reschedule the meeting. So she told the client that, and the client then responded with a text. And I'm just going to share just a few excerpts from the text. I won't read the whole thing. I'll share a few excerpts based on her trying to reschedule this meeting. So I'll say, "Of course you're sorry, and of course you understand, and of course the other clients are much more important than we are. No worries. Project will take a few extra months, and client will pay a few more tens of thousands of dollars for the mistakes and screw ups and change orders. Site visits are obviously overrated. I get it. I'm the client. I'm flying from Europe a day early to make Friday because we have a group of prima donna advisors. I'm not trying to be an asshole or pay millions for a project that no one gives a shit on." So project manager
That wins some kind of a prize for passive aggressive writing.
So the
Wow.
project manager sent me this text, and I was livid because I know how much time we're putting into this. So I called the client, who was in Europe at the time, and I made the mistake of immediately being in a parent mode because I was so angry at this guy.
Yeah.
So I started in a parent mode, and of course he then went right into a child.
So what kind of things were you saying in the parent role?
Basically, I was telling him he's got no clue how the type of effort we put into this project for him. We have bent over backwards for him. No one would ever have given him the service we have if not for the relationships we had.
Yeah.
And he, of course, came back with, "You don't care about me. I'm not important. Our project is, nothing for you." So I'm letting him go on, and he really went on. And I then stepped back and I literally said to myself, "What would Bill do?" That's exactly what I said. I said, "What would Bill do?"
Oh no. Yeah.
And then I said, "Okay, parent, adult, child, feelings, background, outcome." So I let him finish. And I then said to him, I'll use Frank for the name of the client. "Frank, I understand your frustration. You thought you were getting a $2 million renovation that's costing you $5 million. You thought it was going to be done in 18 months. It's now 3 years. So I totally understand why you're frustrated. What can we do to help facilitate any issues that you have to make this right for you?" And there was silence on his end. Finally, he said, I just need you to really help me now." I said, "Well, what landscape issues are there?" He said, "No, there aren't any." I said, then what issues can we help you with? Well, it's not you, it's the architect and it's the engineer. And I just need you to be involved to try and help get everything, squared away. I said, I'll tell you what, the project manager can't make the meeting, but I will be there personally to be at the meeting at the time it was. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. We ended the call on a very good note. Had the meeting, and then the next morning I get an email from the client. Andy, thanks for being here this morning, and more importantly, much more importantly, trying to help push Joe. Again, thank you and our project manager. If I can just request you continue to help move this forward, the next 2 to 3 weeks are critical. Happy New Year to all. And as always, if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how just by one-on-one communication skills change the entire scenario of the conversation.
Yeah.
And even to this day, because we're now about 2 months after that happened, I've been out there once or twice. It's like, we can't thank you enough. You guys are amazing. And it was just really the one-on-one communication skills.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a couple of questions. I'm
Yes.
gonna dig a little bit deeper. It's a great story. What were you feeling at that moment? What were you feeling? What were you thinking? What were some of the thoughts swirling around in your head at that moment where you stopped punching back in parent, as you were saying, and got you to really shift your stance?
As soon as I heard the client speak, I knew I was going to get absolutely nowhere, except to probably make the situation worse if I continued on my adult aggressive tone.
Yeah.
And I knew the only way to change it was to try and change the narrative and change how I began the next conversation with him.
Yeah.
And, but again, it immediately came back almost very quickly while he was going, off on being the child, that I needed to change the narrative. And if I didn't, it would have been absolutely no results at all.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I did have a glass of wine in my hand,
You did.
which which probably was not a
Yeah.
bad thing at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then at the end, what he mentions another person in the thank you email back to you.
Yeah, our project manager, he thanked me and the project manager who he originally sent this really nasty email to.
Yeah.
All the time and effort that we've been putting in.
Yeah. Yeah. What a great example of what's at stake in these informal negotiations. Just the everyday stuff. You wouldn't really call this a negotiation, like where you bring your lawyer and they bring their lawyer and it's all very formal. This is really an everyday problem solving kind of thing.
And it can be used in almost any situation that there's an issue. I was asked to do a seminar at the local university in design construction matters. And I said, one of the 3 most critical items is communication. And I specifically talked about iMessages, feeling, background, outcome. I said, as long as you can do that, any problem is going to get solved. If you can't do that, obviously there may be a structural reason why a problem can't be solved, or even so, there's always a way to solve a problem. It may just cost more money, but there's always a solution. And if you're all talking as adults, the designer and the contractor, you're going to find a solution. But you have to get on that adult level, otherwise you'll never find a solution.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that people's brain shuts down when they're in an argument, and they forget that they've in their lives, they've already solved many, many more difficult problems than the one that they're in. It's not like it's really that hard, or that this person is really that unreasonable. It's more like your ability just to step back. And then the last question I'll ask you is, what's your advice for people who are unfamiliar with this material, who are listening maybe for the first time to somebody who's worked with it? What would you tell a newbie when they ask the question, so what's your advice if I don't really know the material inside out and I'm in a hot conversation? What are a couple things that I should do?
Well, the advice is to, well, let me backtrack. I'm very fortunate in that I was able to be taught this skill. I did not know this skill until, you know, we learned it from you. But the big thing is just communication skills, whether you read books on it or however you want to learn. And today there's so much that's electronic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing.
Yeah.
And one of the concerns I have, especially with the young designers, is that one-on-one communication skill is lost because their communication skills are much more electronic.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, and it's all about being able to talk to somebody and solve problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is perfect. This is perfect. I'll download the clip and spend a little bit of time editing it. I don't think I'll do very much to it. Let you have a look at it, and then we'll get it up on the website real soon.